Welcome to Speak English Time, a peaceful place to improve your English and become better every day, one step at a time.
I'm Ron,
And I'm Emma.
and this is the English Leap. Not a jump into pressure, not a race to perfection, just a gentle movement forward, one conversation at a time.
Ron, I was thinking about the word leap today. Usually a leap is big, it's a jump over a canyon. But in our podcast, we talk about the English leap as something quiet, like a cat leaping onto a soft sofa.
I love that. It's about grace, isn't it? Today we're talking about something that requires that same kind of grace, something that quietly shapes the rest of our day, our mood, and even our fluency, your morning routine.
And no, we're not talking about those dramatic morning routines on social media. You know the ones, Ron. The videos with the high-speed editing and the aggressive, upbeat music.
Oh, I know them well. The ones where someone wakes up at 4:30 a.m., runs 10 kilometers, drinks a green smoothie that looks like liquid grass, reads 2 books, and somehow their hair is already perfect.
Yes, those routines sometimes feel like they belong to superheroes or people who don't need sleep.
Or robots. Definitely robots.
Exactly. Today, we're talking about the real human morning, the one where your alarm rings, your eyes open halfway, and your brain says, just 5 more minutes.
And sometimes those 5 minutes become 20 or 30, or you accidentally turn the alarm off and wake up in a cold panic because you're supposed to be in a meeting in 10 minutes.
We've all been there. Today, we'll explore how a simple, realistic morning routine can help your mood, your confidence, and the way you speak English. Because the way you begin your day often becomes the way you begin your conversations.
Ron, before we dive deep into today's topic, let's start with our little check-in moment. I always like doing this because it slows us down for a second. So tell me, what was one tiny moment today that made you feel calm or peaceful?
Let me think. Actually, I had a very English leap moment this morning. It wasn't anything big or dramatic, but it felt really nice. I woke up earlier than usual, not because of an alarm, not because of noise, but because a small bird was gently tapping on my window. At first, I thought maybe it was just the wind or something, but then I heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. So I got out of bed, opened the curtain, and the sky was still that soft, early morning blue. I stepped outside for a minute, and the air was still cool and fresh. You know that quiet feeling in the early morning when the world hasn't fully awakened yet? No traffic sounds, no people talking, no phones ringing, just a calm, silent street. And then I noticed something really funny.
Right in the middle of the road, there was a small ginger cat, just sitting there. Not walking, not running, not even looking around much. He was simply sitting still, staring toward the horizon where the sun was just starting to peek through the buildings.
Wait, a cat watching the sunrise? That actually sounds kind of magical, like a tiny philosopher thinking about life. Tell me, was he wearing a tiny scarf and glasses too?
Honestly, he should have been. That would have completed the whole scene. But even without the scarf, he looked completely relaxed. No rush, no stress, no hurry to go anywhere, just sitting there like he had all the time in the world. And while I was watching him, I suddenly had this thought. Maybe humans need a little bit of that cat energy in the morning.
I love that phrase, cat energy. That might be the best life advice ever. Wake up slowly, stretch a little, look around, notice the world. Don't rush immediately into emails, messages, or work. Just exist for a moment.
Exactly. The cat wasn't trying to be productive. He wasn't thinking about deadlines or plans. He was just enjoying the morning. And honestly, watching that little moment made me feel calm too.
And that peaceful little scene actually connects perfectly with today's topic, because when people talk about a morning routine, they often imagine something complicated, waking up at 5 a.m., exercising, journaling, reading, meditating, planning the day. But the truth is, a good morning routine isn't about doing 100 things. It's about doing a few small things with calm attention.
Yes, a good morning routine should feel natural, not stressful. Sometimes the best routine is simply breathing, stretching, and enjoying the quiet before the day begins.
Exactly. Maybe we all just need a little more philosopher cat energy.
Let me ask you something if you're listening right now. Have you ever started a day already feeling tired? Not physically tired, but mentally heavy?
Maybe the alarm rang and your first thought wasn't, "What's for breakfast?" but "I'm not ready for the world today."
Or maybe you woke up late, rushed out of bed, skipped breakfast, and the whole day felt like you were chasing a bus that you could never quite catch.
Like your mind was still waking up, but the world was already sprinting. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. We're going to slow down that clock today.
We'll keep the English comfortable around B1 to B2 level. We want you to feel the words, not struggle with them.
Ron, you often say the first 5 minutes of the morning are the opening scene of our day. What do you mean by that? Why are those first moments so important?
Right. Think of your day as if it were a movie. Every movie begins with an opening scene that sets the mood for everything that follows. If the opening scene is a chaotic car chase with loud music, flashing lights, and people shouting, the audience immediately feels tense and alert. In the same way, when our morning begins with chaos, alarms, notifications, rushing thoughts, our brain enters a state of stress. Our cortisol levels rise and our mind prepares for battle instead of balance.
But imagine the opposite kind of opening scene. Picture a quiet garden early in the morning. The sun is slowly rising, there's a soft piano melody in the background. Birds are singing gently, and the air feels fresh. When a story begins like that, the audience relaxes. The whole day or the whole movie feels smoother. Even if a dramatic car chase appears later in the afternoon, the audience is emotionally prepared because the story started peacefully.
Exactly. A few years ago, my opening scene was the complete opposite of peaceful. It was honestly a disaster. The alarm would ring loudly, I would grab my phone immediately, sometimes before my eyes were even fully open, and the very first thing I saw was work messages, red notification bubbles everywhere, words like urgent, ASAP, where is this file? And suddenly my brain was already racing before the day had even begun.
So your brain started running a marathon before your legs even touched the floor. That sounds exhausting just hearing about it.
Exactly. That's the perfect description. It felt like starting a race without warming up your body. Your mind jumps straight into panic mode. Now, I try to protect those first moments of the morning. I created something I call a no-phone zone for the first 15 minutes of my day.
That sounds simple, but I imagine it's not always easy.
It's actually harder than people think. Sometimes my hand reaches for my phone automatically, almost like a reflex. It's like muscle memory. But when I pause and resist that urge, something interesting happens. The morning feels calmer. I feel more present. And slowly, I begin to feel like I own my morning instead of my morning owning me.
And that small difference changes the energy of the entire day. Now I want to introduce a new word that many learners might find interesting: ritual.
That's a beautiful word, but I'm curious, how is a ritual different from a routine? Many people probably think they are the same thing.
They sound similar, but they actually feel very different. A routine is something you have to do because it's part of daily life. For example, brushing your teeth is a routine. Washing your face is a routine. You do it automatically because it's necessary. But a ritual is different. A ritual is something you choose to do with intention. It has meaning behind it. It's a small moment where you pause and remind yourself who you want to be. When I first started teaching English, I was honestly terrified. I constantly worried about making mistakes. I thought, what if I forget a grammar rule? What if I say something wrong? What if my students think I look silly?
That kind of pressure can feel very heavy, especially for teachers.
Yes, it really can. So I created a small ritual to calm myself. Every morning while my tea was brewing, just those 2 quiet minutes, I would stand by the window, look outside, take a deep breath, and say something simple to myself. I am a bridge. I am helping people cross from one language to another.
I am a bridge. That's such a powerful image, Emma. It changes the way you think about teaching. Instead of focusing on being perfect, you focus on being helpful.
Exactly. And that small shift removes a lot of fear. You don't need to be perfect to help someone cross a bridge. You just need to guide them forward step by step. And for our listeners who are practicing English right now, your morning ritual can be very small and very simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. While brushing your hair or making your coffee or looking out the window, you could say one sentence in English, something encouraging like, "Today I will listen more than I worry."
And that one small sentence can gently guide the direction of your whole day. Now, let's talk about science for a moment, but not the complicated kind that needs charts, formulas, or a lab coat. I mean the kind of science that feels simple and relatable.
Ah, the kind of science we can understand while sitting on a sofa with a cup of tea.
Exactly. Now, imagine something very simple. Think of your mental energy as a battery, like the battery inside your phone. Each morning when you wake up, that battery starts the day with a certain level of charge. Some mornings you wake up feeling full of energy, other mornings maybe not so much.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Our energy is not unlimited, it goes up and down during the day.
Right, but on social media, we often hear a very different message. People say things like, wake up at 5 a.m., run 5 miles, do a cold shower, prepare a complex healthy breakfast, read 10 pages of a book, answer emails, plan your day.
That sounds exhausting just listening to it.
Yeah, those habits might work for some people, but there is a hidden problem. If you spend a huge amount of energy very early in the morning, running, planning, multitasking, your battery might already be at 40% by the time you actually start the most important part of your day.
Like your job, your studies, or your English learning.
Exactly. And then by the afternoon, when your brain naturally feels a little tired, your battery might drop even lower. That's when people feel overwhelmed or unfocused.
So, the real goal of a morning routine isn't just efficiency. It isn't about doing things as fast as possible or completing as many tasks as possible.
Yes, the real goal is sustainability. That means protecting your energy and keeping it steady throughout the day.
In other words, a good morning routine should help your energy last longer.
That's true. Imagine starting your day at 80% energy because you had a calm cup of coffee, a quiet moment by the window, maybe a few slow breaths. That gentle beginning helps your brain stay balanced.
And later in the afternoon, when work becomes stressful or your concentration drops, you still have enough energy to handle it calmly.
Yes, a peaceful start creates a stronger battery for the rest of the day.
Now let's change the mood a little and have some fun. Ron, I have a very important question for you. Are you a coffee person or a tea person in the morning?
I'm definitely a coffee person, but not the fast kind of coffee where you grab a cup and run out the door. I'm more of a slow coffee person.
Slow coffee. That sounds like a philosophy.
Maybe it is. I enjoy the small sounds and moments of making coffee, the quiet grinding of the beans, the smell of fresh coffee in the air, the slow pour of hot water. For me, the sound of the beans grinding almost feels like progress beginning.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. Coffee as the sound of progress.
It feels like the day is gently starting instead of suddenly exploding into action.
Well, I'm definitely a tea person in the morning. I love the calmness of it. When the hot water touches the tea leaves and the steam slowly rises from the cup, it feels peaceful.
Like a quiet morning scene.
Yes, exactly. The steam reminds me of the metaphor we used earlier, like fog slowly rising over a calm lake in the morning.
That's a perfect image for a slow morning routine.
And speaking of mornings, did you know that English actually has many idioms related to mornings?
Oh yes, I know one that everyone says. The early bird catches the worm.
Exactly. It means people who wake up early often get opportunities first.
You know, I've never liked that idiom very much.
Really? Why not?
Because nobody talks about the early worm. That poor worm woke up early too, and look what happened to him.
That's a very fair point. The worm definitely did not have a great morning.
Maybe we should create a new idiom.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Instead of the early bird catches the worm, maybe we should say the calm bird enjoys the view.
I love that. It sounds much more peaceful and much more fitting for today's topic.
We need to talk more about the phone. It's the biggest thief of a morning routine. It doesn't just take your time, it takes your peace of mind before you've even had a chance to claim it.
It really is. Think of your mind in the morning like a clean white room, completely silent and still. When you open social media or the news the moment you wake up, it's like inviting 50 strangers into that room, and they're all shouting at the top of their lungs.
Exactly. One stranger is shouting about politics and why you should be angry. Another is showing you a photo of their perfect filtered vacation to make you feel like your life is boring. Another is telling you about a tragedy across the world that you can't do anything about.
And you haven't even had a glass of water yet. You are absorbing the chaos of everyone else's room before you've even had a moment to clean and organize your own. You're starting your day in a defensive crouch instead of a confident stride.
My advice? Treat your morning like a VIP event, and the phone isn't on the guest list. Leave it in another room if you can. Buy an old-fashioned alarm clock, the kind that just beeps. It's a total game changer because it removes the temptation to just check one thing.
Ron, I know you aren't exactly a gym rat or a marathon runner, but you do make an effort to move in the morning, right? You don't just go from the bed straight to the office chair.
Perish the thought. I do what I call the lazy stretch. I reach for the ceiling like I'm trying to grab a bag of chips from the top shelf, then I reach for my toes. I don't actually touch my toes. I haven't seen my toes in years without a mirror, but I reach for them nonetheless.
It doesn't matter if you're flexible. That simple movement sends a powerful biological signal to your nervous system. It's a physical hello to your brain. It says, we are safe, we are awake, and we are moving forward into the day.
It clears the mental fog better than a triple espresso. And for our English learners, movement is actually a golden opportunity to practice. Your brain is more plastic and receptive when your blood is pumping.
That's a great point. Try shadowing a podcast or an audiobook while you stretch or walk around the kitchen. Don't worry about understanding every complex word or grammar point. Just listen to the music of the sentences.
Precisely. Just feel the rhythm and the flow of the language while your body moves. If you connect the words to your physical energy, they stick in your memory much longer than they would if you were just staring at a textbook.
There's a concept called micro-victories.
Like making your bed?
Exactly. Admiral William McRaven famously said that if you want to change the world, start by making your bed, because it's the first task of the day completed. It gives you a tiny spark of pride.
And it sets the tone. If I can make my bed, I can learn 5 new English phrasal verbs. If I can learn 5 verbs, I can have a 5-minute conversation.
It's a ladder. You don't jump to the top, you just climb the first step.
Now, let's look at our vocabulary for today. We want these words to live in your heart, not just your notebook. Sustainable.
Able to be maintained for a long time.
Ron's note. Don't start a routine you can only keep for 2 days.
Example, a 10-minute walk is more sustainable than a 2-hour gym session.
Clarity.
Clearness in thought or sight.
Emma's note. Like looking through a window after you've cleaned the dust off.
Example, the silence of the morning gives me clarity for my work.
Intentional.
Doing something on purpose.
Emma's note. Opposite of accidental.
Example, I want to be more intentional with my time today.
Mindset.
your collection of thoughts and beliefs.
Ron's note. Is your mind a fixed place or a growth place?
Example, a morning routine helps me switch from a stressed mindset to a curious one.
Habit.
A repeated behavior that becomes automatic.
Emma's note. Habits are like paths in a forest. The more you walk them, the easier they are to follow.
Example, drinking lemon water has become a daily habit.
We received a message from a listener named Maria. She says, I have 3 kids and a busy job. I don't have time for a quiet morning. My morning is loud. What do I do?
Oh, Maria, I hear you. The Zen garden morning isn't possible for everyone, but here is a secret. You only need 60 seconds.
1 minute?
Yes, even in a loud house, you can find 60 seconds in the shower or while the kettle is boiling. Close your eyes, feel your feet on the floor, take 3 deep breaths. That is your routine. It doesn't have to be an hour, it just has to be yours.
That's great advice. It's about the quality of the moment, not the quantity of the minutes.
We've covered a lot today. We talked about philosopher cats, ginger coffee, mental batteries, and the phone guest.
But if you remember only one thing from today, remember this. Your morning routine doesn't need to be impressive. It just needs to be kind to you.
1 glass of water, 1 deep breath, 1 quiet moment, 1 English sentence.
Those small actions are the bricks you use to build a beautiful life.
Now, tell us in the comments, what is the first thing you do when you wake up? We really read them. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We hope you enjoyed today's talk. Take care of yourself and join us again in the next video. Goodbye.